Hello and welcome to another special episode here for Viking.TV with me, Anne Diamond. As you can tell, it's the most wonderful summer day here at Hampton Court Palace. Brilliant wildflower meadow, maybe just as it would have been when Henry VIII used to come here. It was his favourite palace. Of course, one time home of Anne Boleyn as well, so it's got a huge history to tell you. But I'm here to tell you the story of the Royal School of Needlework, whose amazing work has been an ever-present part of royal history for many centuries here in this country, but more recently for the recent coronation, and they have quite a story to tell. What a fantastic way to celebrate so many years of the Royal School of Needlework, to have you here in the middle of Hampton Court Palace.
Yes, it's tremendous. We've been here since 1987. Prior to that we were in Kensington, but we had to leave our premises there, and our patron was the Queen Mother, and Hampton Court Palace was directly under the Queen at that time, and so phone calls were made and we were allowed to move here.
I've always imagined that probably the history of the Royal School of Needlework would be many centuries old, because there's always been needlework as part of our royal framework, our heritage.
There certainly has, but the Royal School of Needlework itself only started in 1872, and we were founded for two particular purposes. One was to keep the art of hand embroidery alive, because it had become one technique known as Berlin wool work, which you can frankly do with one stitch. And so we wanted to make sure that gold work and white work and silk shading and all these other techniques were being kept alive. But the other really important reason was to offer suitable employment to educated middle-class women who would otherwise have been destitute. So in the 1870s there was a growth in the number of these people where the main breadwinner, a father or a husband, had died, and there was no welfare state to fall back on. So
if you had a lot of daughters, either you married them off to somebody wealthy or they had to have a marketable skill.
Exactly. So when the person came, they would have 9 days of tuition. And mostly that was about aptitude. Could they get on with what we needed? Could they apply themselves? And could they sit at it and keep going? Once they'd passed that, then they went into the workroom, and it was really about learning on the job, and they would work on some individual pieces and they'd work on larger commissions, because we would have 2 sales a year, and our royal president, Princess Helena, would literally come and man a table at the sale to encourage people to purchase.
Princess Helena being?
The middle daughter of Queen Victoria.
Is that right?
Yes.
My goodness.
She came on board right from the beginning, and she was our president. She was incredibly active, and she stayed with us through to her death, which actually is 100 years ago this year.
Can I confess to you, and I hate to, but I didn't even know there was a Royal School of Needlework until the recent coronation of King Charles, and people started to mention the amazing work that you did, and I started to see television reports and newspaper reports of some of the wonderful work you were able to do for that coronation. And there's always been a link, hasn't there, between coronations particularly.
This is our 5th coronation.
Is it indeed?
Yes. So 1902, 1911, 1937 and 1953, the Royal School of Needlework did pieces for each of the monarchs at that time, and we then were just delighted to be asked to work on pieces for this coronation as well.
And it's not just coronations, it's royal weddings as well.
It is, yes. So back in 2011 we worked on the wedding dress of now the Princess of Wales, and that was a fantastic thing.
What sort of work was done on her dress?
So it was it was a pliqué of lace motifs onto the various layers of the whole dress. So the bodice, the skirts, the train, all the way around the outside of the veil, and even on the shoes.
And when that commission is set with you, somebody must come from Kensington Palace, wherever, and talk to you and give you a brief. I mean, how does that process happen?
In
secrets, is it?
Yeah. Yes. And so, we all signed agreements that we knew what we were working on, and but we keep things quiet.
But your team must be so proud.
Absolutely. Yes, everyone who worked on the projects, both the 2011 and the recent coronation, is very pleased to have been able to work on it.
Now, you've brought in a few bits and pieces
Yes.
that are worthy of comment. One's in a funny little jar. What's that?
This is a funny little jar, and I was presented with this when I went to visit one of our life friends, as she was giving me back a piece that we had made in the early 1900s, and then she disappeared and came back with this. So I undid the little lid, and inside it I could see that there were some little cuttings of velvets, purple velvet, red velvet. There's a bit of yellow here,
Yes.
which is a padding, felt padding, and there's a little bit of cracked gold thread in there as well. And then there's this little note that has been put in, and it says on it, cuttings of the coronation robes of Edward VII and Queen Alexandra, worked by Rosina Smith, 1902.
Oh, a real name to put to it.
A real name.
Yeah.
And Rosina was even around for 1911 as well, and had a hand in that coronation. So this is a very special little pot.
That's a little pot of treasure, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
And so it's just bits that would have been left over that she gathered.
And there's another one here, actually, with your own emblem on it.
So this is a souvenir that was made for 1953. So this is the purple silk velvet that was used for the Queen's coronation robe of estate that we designed and embroidered. And then we made these little cushions which are filled with emery powder, as you get on nail file.
Yeah.
But in this case they're as needle cleaners. So this is the little box, and inside the lid it actually says emery needle cleaner made from the silk velvet used for the purple robe of state, embroidered at the Royal School of Needlework for the coronation of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, June 2nd, 1953.
This is obviously very precious because you've wrapped it in tissue.
Well, this first one is how interesting that things keep coming back to us. So until recently we didn't have a copy of this in the collection. We just had a finished version. But in here, this is the instructions on how to make a particular sampler for 1953. And then this is actually the template. And so you would get this, and you'd get out your iron.
You'd iron it on your...
And then you iron it onto the fabric. We're outside, so
Yeah,
it's not
I know,
going
this
to-
isn't very practical, is it?
No, it's not.
Be very
it's too
careful.
fine. And so there we are. So that's the sampler, and you'll think that it looks, if you can see the right...
Yeah, it's the wrong way around, it's
wrong way
mirror
around,
image.
because when you've ironed it onto your fabric, then it will be the right way round.
Coronation sampler, 1953.
That's right.
And that was somebody's treasure, again,
And
wasn't
this
it?
is somebody's treasure, but they'd bought it with the purpose of making it, and clearly
It's never been
quite
made.
got round to
Yeah.
making it. And we do get a few things back like
I'll
that
fold that up.
into the collection.
While you have a... That's it.
And so this will be the instructions as to how to go about making
And
it.
now you've got it, somebody has given that to you. So what's in the tissue?
So what's in the tissue? Well, it's quite interesting because you may not really have noticed much about the crowns that were used this time, and the crowns that were used by Queen Elizabeth. But Queen Elizabeth changed the crown that had been used by her father, and she had the one that was kind of flatter along the top. Well, King Charles has gone back to the one before, which is the more pointy one.
yes.
And in fact, I was very pleased to have a discussion with him about the crown when he came to visit and see the work that we were doing on the pieces for the coronation.
So he's been here, visiting
He's
you?
been here to
Oh,
visit, yes.
brilliant. Does he value the sort of work you do, the needlework?
He absolutely does.
Because you wonder if you're king, you might not actually even see it, you know, it's just something you take for granted.
No, he and his wife, they both absolutely value it. It's a traditional skill that we are still carrying on, but even more than that, that we're showing can be used in a contemporary way. So the robe of estate that we made for the Queen, which she wore as she left the Abbey, is filled with flowers that have meanings to both of them. And it was designed by our team here. But not only that, because of His Majesty's real interest in the environment and sustainability, it includes butterflies and little bees, and even a snail is featured on it.
Okay, now this is stunning. This catches the eye straight away. But it's very unusual when you think this is the Royal School of Needlework. What is it? What's it saying to us?
Well, this is work by Jenna Riddell, one of our third-year graduates, and she has worked tirelessly to really make a point, and it's all about sustainability.
So she's using needlework as protest?
Absolutely, and that's why she's actually created these placards. You know, they're not just individual pieces, but they are placards about the endangered species. So, for example, the rockhopper penguin that she's got here, an endangered species, but she's created them by making her own thread from plastic bags, paper bags, and so on. And she's taken all that and stretched it and made it as thin as she can, and then she has still stitched with great detail onto each of the pieces.
So what we're seeing here is waste plastic, a lot of it.
Absolutely.
But sewn by an expert embroiderer.
Indeed, yes.
And just in case, Susan, anyone thinks embroidery is still for women, it isn't, is it?
Embroidery has never actually been for women. There have been professional embroiderers who were men for centuries.
Oh.
You know, and back to the Middle Ages, there were both men and women were professional embroiderers.
And here we see a 2023 young man designing this and embroidering it. It's fabulous, isn't it?
It is wonderful. It's by Thomas Asmalash, and he came as a refugee to this country from Eritrea when he was 12 on his own. And so he's really had to kind of make his way. And when he came to the course, his family had a background in tailoring, and he was, you know, a little unsure. But, you know, look now at what he has produced. This is a magnificent piece. It's embroidered front and back, and it's based on a flower of Eritrea, so from its home country. The flower itself is actually yellow, but he's translated it into white in memory of his grandma, because his grandmother's favourite colour was white, and so she died recently, so he wanted to remember her by stitching it in white.
It's so meaningful when you know some of these things. But some of the detail is again, very different from what we've previously seen. Some of it's very three-dimensional.
It is. So there's lots of use of beading and multiple beads, not just single beads, which gives it a really sort of chunky three-dimensional feel to it. And then he's used variety of materials, so different kind of, you know, bugle beads, these very long ones here, to very small and tiny pieces. And, you know, there's hundreds of hours of work in this, putting all of these beading elements together.
Sometimes when you look at it, you have to remind yourself this was done by hand.
Indeed.
How long does it take to make something like that?
Well, it will have been several hundred hours. In fact, most of the pieces that are on show by our graduates, it's 700. I think the longest is possibly about 700 hours, which is an extremely long period of time. And that's their dedication, that they will have worked on this over a period of months to bring it together. So this is Faiza Shahad's helmet and headdress. She has taken the fact that she wears a hijab and how she feels about that. And when she feels really good about that, it's a crown. It's a wonderful thing to be wearing. And when she feels really bad about wearing it, she wants to hide behind it. So it has very many different meanings for something which is worn by millions of women around the world. Because
I've been leafing through her folio, and she obviously is very, I was going to say obsessed, but she is fascinated by the whole concept of veils. I mean, we in the West take the wedding veil, you know, that's it, we all wear it. But she's gone one step further and really explored what the veil means to different women.
Indeed she has, yes.
And she got an award for metalwork. For particularly sewing with
metal thread embroidery.
Right.
So,
and you can, if you look closely, you can barely believe that it is metallic and that it was done by hand. It's stunning, isn't it?
Yes. So you can see, you know, lots of metal thread work being used on here, and a whole variety of different metal threads. So. You know, there are many, more than 20 different types of metal threads that you can use, and different thicknesses and thinnesses and so on. And so she has used a great variety of them in this, which again add to it. And, you know, in the right light, the light would play on it really fantastically.
Yeah. Mind you, you wouldn't see much wearing a veil like that, would you?
No.
No. But maybe she's making a point there as well.
Yes, it's perhaps being seen and not being able to see out at times.
Yes, it's absolutely lovely. Gemma, here we are in the studio in front of something I know you're all very proud of, which is the wall of wool. And it does look fabulous, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
So the wall of wool is, as the name would say, wall of wool, but it's a fantastic resource for us because here in the studio we do conservation, restoration and new commissions. When we are working on conservation and restoration pieces, we are quite often matching to an existing piece. And so these walls are fantastic.
Yeah, because they've got so many different blends and hues of the same colour.
Yeah, and so we pick
Is some
from
of it
here
very
daily.
old?
I think 50 odd years or so,
Is that
if
right?
not more.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Now, one of the restoration pieces I happen to know about is a dress that was worn by Lady Carnarvon, but Almina Lady Carnarvon, and you restored that piece for our present Lady Carnarvon, Fiona.
Yes, we did. So it was worn originally at George V's coronation, and so it came here, and we undertook some light surface cleaning of the. So it's a crimson velvet, and it had a beautiful netted skirt with beads and spangles on there. So we carried out the restoration on the skirt panel as well, and then it had a fur edging that was very fragile, so we encased that, and it meant that it can go on display and be viewed
You
by so many
encased
more.
it?
We encased it between layers of conservation net, so it just prevents the fur deteriorating and sort of falling away, and it maintains the dress in the current way it looks, so it can be enjoyed by many more.
Now, it's interesting that this is the frame that I think nearly everybody works on.
Yes.
This probably hasn't changed design in centuries,
No,
has it?
so this is a slate frame here, and it's wonderful because it allows you to get a lovely tension throughout, and it also, and I'm not sure if you've seen how we work, but we have one hand on top and one hand underneath, and it's a quicker way to work the thread through. We're not handling it too much, so it's not becoming dirty or fluffy, and for speed, it's vital.
One of the royal robes you did, didn't it have to have a bespoke frame made?
Yes, so Her Majesty's robe of estate, so the train of the skirt was 4 metres long.
That's the one that Queen Camilla wore coming out of the Abbey.
Coming out of the Abbey, yes. And so
the frame had to be how big?
It had to be 4.5 metres to allow...
That's the length of this room. Wow.
It was very large, and it meant we could have multiple embroiderers on
I
there
see.
as well. So it was bespoke made. So it was actually made in 2 halves, transported into the palace here, and then built on site.
Wow.
And not many people knew what we were up to. So
No,
it had
not
to be
many
built-
people have done anything like that
No,
before.
no.
But talk me through this one, because I find this absolutely fascinating. I know this shows off a very important part of what you do.
Absolutely. So gold work. So all the practices on this demo frame here are exactly what we used on the robe of estate. So when we start working, we always take an accurate tracing of the design that we're going to work. So this is step 1 here. And if you feel, there's some tiny holes on the back there.
So somebody's gone through with a needle, everything.
Yes.
So it is.
Absolutely.
So that although you can't see it on the camera now, it's there.
Yes. So this method
What do
is
you do,
called
shine a
prick
light
and
underneath?
no, it's called prick and pounce. So what we do is we create this pricking here, we lay it down, and then using a fine ground charcoal or cuttlefish, we put the powder through.
Oh.
We dust away the
Is
excess.
that what's happened to this?
Yes, and then we paint it on.
Oh my
And
goodness,
it's
that's
the most
clever.
accurate way of transferring a design on.
Prick and pounce.
So prick and pounce.
Like that.
So once you've transferred your design on, you then, with gold work, some areas are padded.
Yes.
So you need to work out how high you would like certain areas to be. So a bit like a relief map in geography, we build up the layers here. So this shows you layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and it just builds up the sort of height here. And this is actually carpet felt that we've used, which is quite a chunky
It's sturdy,
padding.
yeah.
Absolutely. But it gives us a good
It
foundation.
gives you a lovely 3D effect then.
So once you've done that, you will then cover it with a layer of felt. So normally when we're working with gold metal threads, we would use a yellow felt. But as you can see here, we've got silver, so we use white felt. So, and then you stab that down, so nice and neat, nice and tight, so it's nice and smooth, and then you can work your gold thread over the top.
Now, you've said gold. Is that silver
Metal
gold?
thread,
Or-
yeah.
This is a metal thread though.
Yes.
This isn't a silver coloured or a gold coloured thread. It's
So they are, some of the gold threads that we use are sort of known as gilt thread because they are a percentage of gold, but you can get pure gold threads, and they are made, especially some of them are spun, some of them are twisted, and there's all types of different golds that you can use. There are some that you can couch, so couching is when you over sew.
Yes.
So that's this gold here.
so you're over sewing it rather than putting that through the eye of a needle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's some golds that are sort of like a hollow tube of spaghetti that you cut to the length that you want.
Oh.
And they will get worked over the top of the padding there. There were some that are sort of crinkly, so a bright check. There are some that are slightly brighter, some that are slightly matte. And what's lovely with all the different types of golds, you can create texture and movement, light and dark. So we were very lucky actually, because we had designed Queen Camilla's robe, we could have a lot of fun playing with the technique. So we actually, it was the traditional goldwork techniques, but we put a bit of a modern twist on it, so it's quite contemporary. So there were sort of three-dimensional elements on there.
I know she's been here, hasn't she?
They came, their Majesties came to see us whilst we were undertaking
So
the work.
she knows, she knew when she was walking down, coming out as Queen, she knew that the robe she was wearing had been done by you guys.
And it was very personal. We were very keen to create something that was representative of her love of nature, and she has been a patron to the school since 2017. So to be able to produce something for her was very, very special. And there is one motif within the wildflowers at the bottom, which is called a pincushion flower. So it was a very gentle nod to that connection to us. But we chose flowers that were personal to her relationship with the king and their journey. Very emblematic flowers as well. But very excitingly, for the first time in a coronation robe, there were insects.
I know, there were bees and butterflies and things.
So we had some real fun, and we used colour.
Which is again a real message for the future.
Absolutely, and it's about sustainability as well. And what's lovely for us is, because we've all trained here through the school, to produce something by hand that will live on for the next future generations.
Hundreds of years probably.
And I really hope, and I'm sure it will inspire new embroiderers, existing embroiderers. It's been wonderful to sort of be a part of something like that.
I know that, funnily enough, the pandemic that we've all horrendously been through and the lockdowns has actually given you an even wider market, because you had to, in the end, realise that actually, to a certain extent, embroidery can be taught online.
Absolutely, we had to adapt very quickly, and also in the studio we had to adapt our processes because people were still wanting pieces to be worked on. And what was wonderful is people were at home more, so some people
they wanted something to do.
They did, and to do.
But it is something that you could show, you could demonstrate to an online audience.
Yeah, and for some people it was the first time they'd sort of taken up embroidery. For some people, work, life gets in the way, so to be able to come back to it and carry on a hobby that they'd maybe sat by the wayside. What's been lovely is the sense of community and the friendships that have been created
all over the world.
Absolutely, the world becomes such a smaller place, and for embroidery to sort of bring people together has been amazing.
And for the years behind you, for the tradition you're carrying on and taking into the future. How long have you been here?
So I trained here in 2001, so I was 17 when I started my apprenticeship. So it's been a big part of my life, and I've been very lucky in the opportunities I've had and where embroidery has taken me. I've worked in costumes, so I've toured with a ballet company, and it's just adapting the techniques that I learnt here. And I've been very lucky. I came back here in 2011 and worked on Duchess of Cambridge's wedding dress, Princess of Wales now. So I was a part of that, and I've been studio manager now for 10 years, and I love it.
I'll bet I can see it all over your face that you love it. Well, you must be very proud. I think we are very proud of you. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse.
Oh, it's a pleasure, absolutely.
So there you are. You learn something every day, don't you? You're never too old to learn something new. I never knew that there was a Royal School of Needlework. I never knew that it was the one place, probably in the world, where you can get a degree in hand embroidery, and it's so important to keep those traditions alive. And what a magnificent setting for it here in Hampton Court Palace. Until I see you very soon, from me, Anne Diamond. Bye-bye, stay safe.